Welcome to the Gab Talks by the Independent Press Award. I'm your hostess, Gabby Olzak. To participate in the 2026 Book Award competitions, please visit independentpressaward.com and nycbigbookaward.com. On this episode of the Gab Talks, we are honored to welcome Ivona Olofsson, author of The Soul of War, Ukraine, Where Every Step Tells Their Story, winner of the 2025 New York City Big Book Award in the Cultural Heritage category. Ivona runs Spectrum Therapies. She's a peace worker and trauma therapist specializing in complex trauma and attachment trauma, in childhood, life in general, war trauma, and combat trauma in war veterans. Through continued education, international conventions, conferences, and collaboration in networks with experts in human behavior in Sweden and internationally. Ivona's journey has taken her from the shadow of post-war Poland to the unfolding crisis in Ukraine. Ivona is not just an observer of conflict. She's a therapist, a peace worker, and a storyteller who carries with her the voices of those touched by war. The Soul of Ukraine, Where Every Step Tells Their Story, invites us into train stations, refugee camps, hospital wards, and the ruins of homes to meet children, mothers, soldiers, and medics who are living through history. It's really a remarkable book. The story of war delves into not only the outer terrain of war, but the inner terrain of survival, memory, and meaning through personal and poignant accounts. Ivona joins us today from Sweden. Congratulations and welcome to the Gab Talks.
Thank you so much, Gabby. I'm honored.
It's an honor to have you. And everyone, Ivona can see the cover of the book, which is absolutely gorgeous. And we'll talk about that later in the interview. But for right now, I just want to get started. In the first chapter, you say, a sign that my journey was predestined, my role in history already inscribed. Could you walk us through the moment when you decided this story needs to be written? What triggered the shift from being a witness slash therapist to being an author?
I actually didn't set out to write a book. I set out to listen. And then during the trip, this last emerged. I just wanted to share the voices of people because I'm born in Poland, in post-war Poland, and I was surrounded by my grandparents, and they carried the trauma in their bodies, in their silences. So I recognize what war is.
Mm.
Long before I had language for trauma, I learned how to recognize it in their way of walking, speaking, or whispering. And yes, my background is shaped by living with history rather than studying it.
You have a very interesting background. Your book begins with your background, your roots in post-war Poland, and you just mentioned that where you lived with your grandparents. It's so interesting. You write, we ran through bomb craters and shelters as if they were our playground. I'm visualizing that as you wrote that because you write so beautifully. What was it like to grow up amidst all these shadows, the scars, and the trauma?
Back then, it was totally normal because every child had the same story. So we thought it was normal. And we just played there in the shelters and bunkers and craters. And while we were not aware of the history, but at the same time, when I grew up, I learned we can be gentle in those places. We can play in those places who before that were very heavy, what a history they have.
Yeah.
We were not aware back then, but now I can see my grandparents maybe watching us and thinking, oh, there is hope because life will continue and the kids can play and they don't need to know every detail.
Isn't that something? Life really does go on. You in the Soul of War, Ivana, you offer stories from hundreds of people from different backgrounds, age groups, professions, across villages. You've spoken with mothers, children, soldiers. How did you choose which stories and which voices to include in the book?
Oh, it was not an easy choice because I had so many stories. I let the stories come to me. So I wanted to show the moments, not the politics, because we can read about it. I wanted to show those moments of everyday life, even the everyday life in at the front line. But I wanted to catch those moments that can inspire us, like a soldier not talking about a battle, but talking about the bird singing, this sound that gives him strength. About a mother, how she copes with everyday day's life and teach the child to still have fun, to be joyous. So I collected all the stories coming to me, meeting people um, just accidentally, oftentimes. And I wanted every story to be a note in a human chorus. I wanted to have every piece of war in this chorus, if we can say so, right? Because um, there are so many levels in war, and we oftentimes focus on the heavy story in it. But there is so much joy in between, and joy can coexist.
And you learned that from your grandparents who taught you that.
Of course,
Yeah.
I learned it, but I also learned that we don't talk about war.
Mm.
And this is a new knowledge we should have. Maybe in Ukraine, people learn more from their experience because they had wars before, so they inherited trauma as well.
The book is 470 pages, very, very long, but it doesn't read as it does not read as a history lesson, but rather a very personal glimpse, as you mentioned, into the heart of a nation and its people. How did you manage to, dare I say, keep it entertaining, lighthearted, but at the same time, it's very, very poignant?
I wanted to show the joy in the middle of the darkness. So, of course, there are moments that are quite heavy, and I didn't want the reader to got overwhelmed. And as a therapist, it was very important to me not to overwhelm my audience. So, after writing a piece of a chapter that was heavy, I wanted to bring light back to the body, because it's often impossible to read a book that is all the time about the darkness, right? It's just we can't learn anything. We just not feel okay. So I wanted to bring some light, and of course, every human being, every story has some light in it. So it was very important to me to bring it up, because this is the spirit of Ukraine. The people are all the time looking for the light, for joy. Otherwise, they couldn't survive this war.
And, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of the information that we hear about the war on Ukraine, the interpretation is information fed through the news. And you offer this completely fresh and humane vantage point. What did you learn about human endurance and resilience from these beautiful people of Ukraine?
Oh, I've learned so much. I was really surprised when I came to Ukraine for the first time during the war that life could exist in spite of all.
Yeah.
The light is not the opposite of the darkness. I think they can coexist, and the light, the joy must be there for people to survive. So I just looked for those moments in all the stories, and like sitting drinking coffee, so normal, and people are looking for normalcy as well
Yes.
to be able to cope. And of course, they are very sad moments, but then they look at the light somewhere there, nice music or dancing when they can manage it. And I learned uh, a lot of about endurance actually, because oftentimes we think they, oh, okay, it's too heavy, then we just sit down and feel depressed. Instead, we need to search for the fun, for the light, if it's possible. And that's what if you ask someone in Ukraine what makes you keep going, they would normally say, "Oh, what choice do I have?"
Yeah.
But still, it's a conscious decision. They choose something good, to do something fun, to listen to music, go and meet friends, gatherings, celebrations, and
That's wonderful.
sometimes it's very important.
Of course. To
It
focus on the little things of life that are not so little anymore. They're holding on to these. You know, you speak about your love of films, and that's something that you and I share. Particularly, you have always had a fascination with war films. Um, what is a book or film that shaped how you understand conflict?
Oh, there are so many. I once I tried to choose one of them, but when I grew up in Poland, 20 years after the war, we had movies every day. You can imagine how many they were.
Really?
Yeah, every day something about war, and sometimes it was about the front line, the war itself there, or the civilians. But every Sunday we had for kids actually um, a show called uh, four guys in a tank and a dog.
Really?
Yeah, it was an adventure in a tank during the war, and there were people from Poland, from Ukraine, from Georgia. Back then, we were thinking Soviet Union because that was the narrative. But they were Ukrainians, I know. The story was lovable. I was just longing for next Sunday to see it.
Wow.
Actually, it was about war, and the, I love tanks because they reminded me of this show. And they had a dog I would like to have as well.
So that's so interesting. So much information you got and in the film. And your family's background is so fascinating. In fact, your great uncle was taken to a concentration camp, but later released. Share how his release transpired and your discovery during your teenage years. And this all ties into the power of legacy. And you have a very powerful one in your family.
Yes, and a very complicated one.
Yes.
Yeah, because we oftentimes we speak about the big silence, and it's
Not talking about war, not
talking
talking about
about, yeah, in order to protect the kids. It's a very beautiful thought, but we, the kids, we were all the time looking for the whispers.
yeah.
Uh, what is the not said there, and with vivid imagination we could create any outcome. So instead we got more traumatized. Of
Right,
of-
because your imagination probably ran wild because you
oh,
didn't have any information.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I felt that my family history covered something under the surface, and I didn't know how and why. I had this feeling maybe I overheard something as a kid during family gatherings, and I thought we were from my grandmother. She was from Holland. That was the narrative in the family. And then suddenly, when I was old enough, grandma told me that uh, grandma, grandmother, she's actually German. And in the moment, she
That
told
would be
me,
your great grandmother.
Yes, my
Great grandmother.
mother. Yeah, she was married to a Pole, and she was German,
Wow.
and it was shocking
That's a
because
bombshell. Yes.
and I remember the moment. I remember the kitchen, the lights, everything there. Typical trauma
Yeah,
because
for sure.
yeah, something inside of me just collide because uh, I was brought up or I grew up with this narrative about Germans
Yeah,
not nice, right?
of course.
Uh, we were not against the Germans in our family, but the narrative in the society was they were enemies and they made a lot of bad things. And suddenly I had German blood. It
Wow.
was shock. It took a couple of minutes to land in it. And of course, grandma, she was very helpful because she uh, told the story and why it was a big secret. And it was because she was German and her son, then, when we speak about my
Mhm.
grandmother's brother, sorry, it's complicated.
Yeah. Your great uncle.
Yeah, so her son uh, was just taken by Gestapo to a prison, and he was on the way to a concentration camp. So my grandmother, she went to sign a list to to show she's German, so she could save him from the death that was awaited there. So she had to reveal that she's German, and it was horrible to
But
do it.
it saves his life. But it saves his life.
To save his life, she almost offered her life, right? And of course, because he was half German, so he could go back home. But it had consequences on every member of the family. Her other son was then taken by Germans to the Hitlerjugend camps
Wow.
to be trained for war,
Wow.
like Poles, of course. Then he got captured by Russians because he was in the Hitlerjugend and he disappeared in Russia. Another sister, she got married with a man. Somehow he knew about the secret of the family. So he threatened her every day with revealing this story. Um, I mean, everyone, and they were 10 siblings, everyone's life got affected. So you can imagine.
Everyone has a story, which is what your book is all about, that there's humanity to all of this, that behind every tragedy, behind every joy, there is a story. And in fact, you refer to the book, Ivana, as a peace dove, which is really quite beautiful. You launched it on August 24th, which was actually Ukraine's Independence Day.
Yes, it was.
Describe your hope and vision for the book.
Oh, I thought I was a peace dove when I was a little kid. And then I realized the peace is quite difficult and not a quick fix. Now, 60 years later, with my experience, I discovered that we can heal trauma. And by healing trauma, we can eventually create peace because people carrying trauma can't so easily find peace.
Mhm.
We have this trauma, generational trauma, from generation to generation. And when we heal uh, all the traumas, or most of them, uh, I think we can have, first of all, peace of mind, because we are talking a lot about peace. Oh, when peace comes, when we win the war, when peace comes, everything will be fine. But it's not that easy because the peace needs to come inside the body first. So we need to heal the trauma. And I wanted to explain with the book that it is possible because people in general don't know we can heal trauma completely. And it's not that difficult, actually. And so this was the first goal with the book, and the second was to get to know people in Ukraine because we are supporting Ukraine all over the world. Uh, so we should know how they work, how they think, how they laugh, how the life is. Because when we get know each other, it's the first step towards peace as well.
Absolutely. Ivana, I want you to share. The book is on the side of the screen. The cover is quite symbolic. What is the significance of the images that you chose?
Oh, I have it in my hand as well. So you can see it here. You see the flag,
Yes.
first of all, because it's very important. I have experienced going to those places that was occupied by Russians and then uh, occupied as as some month later. And the moment Ukrainians could put the flag in a village because they had this village again in Ukraine was so symbolic. You could always feel it in the air how important it is. The flag is so important, so I wanted to have it there. But this little girl, well, it's maybe me.
Okay.
I maybe every child on earth because future belongs to children, and I really believe that when they feel okay, they can rebuild the country. They can create the peace, independence they want. So I wanted to have a child, and it's not necessarily me, but it's every kid we can relate to. In Ukraine, my work started with children, so they are very symbolic. And a child represents for me even the newborn country again after ruins, the rebuilded country, we can call it. And then you see the teddy bear. It's so sad because it's the best friend a child can have in very stressful circumstances. But sometimes they will lose this friend, and the trauma can be significant from losing a teddy bear as well. You can see them everywhere on grieving places or just left somewhere
So
in there.
sad.
It's very sad.
Yes.
Same time they are bringing comfort when they are there. So I have very special connection to those bears. Yeah.
So what still gives you hope and what really brought you hope through this process is the children, which is where you began this whole journey was um, providing therapy for children in Ukraine. Is that right, Ivana?
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that was the hope that you said from the very beginning of our interview that your grandparents had as you were using such tragedy, a tragic location as your playground. Your grandparents kept silent because they saw hope in you. And I think that's wonderful. So for the people far from Ukraine, or for the people of Ukraine, what do you hope that they take away from your book?
Oh, I already know.
Tell us, share. What have they said to you?
Those who have read this book, they said, "Oh, thank you for writing because we just don't want to disappear off the map.
Yeah,
We don't talk about us or war, then no one sees us." So they are very touched, and really, I've seen tears in their eyes so many times.
I bet.
Friend of mine, she said, "This book will be standing on my shelf for me, for my children, for the future generation, because uh, no one has written a book about the everyday life."
And it's an oral history of the Ukrainian life.
Yeah, and then this searching for light, for joy, for fun that's so crucial to for survival. So I already know.
Congratulations on that. This is a funny question. Not funny, but I found it really interesting. You talked about how food became such a strong symbol of the nation. Share why.
Ah, my first short version is I love food, but it's not just because it's delicious and fun. I realized in Ukraine, in traveling to Ukraine, we take a boat, a Polish one, and they have Polish food. And I suddenly my senses sharped, got more sharped because of the war. Going to a war, it's tough, so you are very observant. And I suddenly saw this dish, Polish dish, uh, typical Polish, and it's sauerkraut with some other ingredients as well, and we call it bigos, and it's so Polish, and I'm enjoying the bigos. I'm Polish. I'm actually Polish. Something woke up, because I have eaten Swedish food, Indian food, and I love all those countries and parts in the kitchen. But this was a very specific journey. I'm going to Ukraine. Now it will be borscht. And it's a symbol of gathering. It's a symbol of togetherness as well. If we can share a piece of bread together, then we are one. And we need company during this war. No one should be left alone. So food is a good occasion to gather people, and it will be more and more like a flag as well. A typical Ukrainian dish. It's not just a dish; it's Ukrainian.
I think
Now that's
it's a universal sentiment that when you break bread with friends, family, it always brings you closer together as a community.
and it's very very important to be together and gather around the food as well. And like my grandmother has stories from the war. The last piece of bread we always shared, he taught me. And it was so beautiful because it was a lesson in compassion, right?
Lesson and compassion. I feel like that's the theme of the book, Ivona, is a lesson in compassion. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Are you working on anything else?
I have a second book almost ready.
Oh, tell us about that.
The second book will be about Ukraine 3-4 years after the invasions beginning, because I wanted to go back and see how the war affects people. Of course, they are more and more tired, but they still find a cause.
Endure.
Yes, and we will meet new people, new aspects. So it will be almost as a big book as this one.
How wonderful. When is that due to publish?
I'm working on it probably this year.
Oh, we look forward to that. So, Ivona, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really a pleasure. You're an inspiration. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for your beautiful book. Where can folks find out more about you and purchase The Soul of War and hopefully soon your new volume?
Oh, you can take a look at my website,
Okay.
ivonaolofsson.com. It's like the name on the book,
Yes.
ivonaolofsson.com, and there you will find everything about the book, how to purchase it, and about my way of writing, what inspires me, what inspires my way of writing as well.
Wonderful.
But the second book will be not about me, although the lens is mine. But it's purely about Ukrainian people, and I always want the entire world to be able to relate. This book is universal, like the first one. So
Thank you. We look forward to it. Well, Ivona, you're an inspiration. Thank you for chatting with us today.
thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Join us next podcast when we speak with our old friend, Michael Dow, author of the children's educational series Nurse Florence and Nurse Dorothea. This is your hostess, Gabby Olzak of the Gab Talks. Until next time, keep on reading.